Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today we are out in my garden here at Crystal Cottage and I am going to be working on a couple of plants in my botanical garden area, and that is the big beautiful tree behind me here, this lovely Norway spruce, and I have another little bush over on the side over here that I'll be working on as well. Now, the truth is, when I started my video today, I forgot to put my microphone on again. So I've had to redo my introduction, and my trees have already been pruned. And well, we'll just have to carry on from there. So I will show you the process anyway, and I'm going to take you around the garden to have a look at some of my Norway spruce that I have in different areas and different shapes, different sizes, different ages, different qualities and so forth. So you can see what they look like. This will just be some of them because I have an awful lot. This is one of the most prolific trees in Sweden and Scandinavia. So it's very, very common. And the wonderful thing about them is that they are evergreen trees, and I absolutely love them because of that. And they are used mainly for forestry and for the logging industry, for making furniture and buildings, because here in Sweden the most common kinds of buildings, especially in the countryside, are wooden buildings like mine, with the red colouring and the white around the frames of the windows and the doors. And I absolutely love it when you go out in the countryside and you see the spots of red buildings everywhere amongst all the green. It's just fantastic. So these trees are used for a lot of industry and also in gardens, and they can be made into topiaries, they can be shaped and formed, they can be made into hedges. But there is one thing that's very important to remember if you have these plants, or you're thinking of having these plants as a kind of evergreen hedge, and that is that you have to prune them quite vigorously every single year. And if you miss a year, or you miss any time where they've grown out too much, you're going to leave it too late, because the branches will get too long and the inner branches lose all their needles because the light doesn't get into the center of the tree and the tree doesn't need to use its energy on needles in there. And if you should prune right back into the hardwood without any foliage on the tree, then you will not get any new foliage, you will not get any new branches. That will be it. That branch is finished. So they need to be pruned every year if you want to keep a tighter kind of shape or so forth. And really, if you miss it and it goes too long, it's going to be too late. You can top these trees, and I will be topping this tree behind me this year once it's grown out its full length. And at the moment it's got a double top on it, and you never want a double top on your conifer trees because that can weaken the tree and it can split the tree if there's too much snow and so forth, and it will make the tree a lot weaker. So I'm going to take the other double top off and leave the one to grow out, and then at the end of the season I'm going to chop that off and keep the height I have. Now, I didn't know how I wanted to prune my tree this year because I have the main conical shape at the bottom here, and then I have what looks like a smaller conical shape growing on top. This tree grew out an extra huge width this year on its branches and has already grown about 40 centimeters on the top, and that will probably grow to around 60 or so before the season's over, maybe more. So I decided to go in and prune off the top and keep a lower conical shape. And in the winter we have our winter lights on this tree, and it looks like a lovely, lovely Christmas tree. And then I'll have another smaller Christmas tree shape, this conical shape, growing on the top as a separate tree. So it looks like one has been stacked on top of the other. So I'm going to experiment with this kind of topiary, and I hope that's going to fill out and give that shape of two conical trees on top of each other. And if it doesn't work out, well, I can go in and I can prune back those branches at the top and make me one big long conical shape, so I have a long, big, long, tall looking Christmas tree that I can put the lights on for the whole of the winter season. And this brightens up our garden so much, and this is right in the middle of our garden, and I absolutely love it. And that is why I want to keep this tree pruned and to thicken it out to make it look really, really nice. And in fact, I want to put in some photos here to show you exactly what I'm talking about with the Christmas tree lights on and the snow during the winter with this tree, because it looks absolutely amazing. Have a look here. Just look at this tree in the lovely snowy winter season and how beautifully it lights up the garden and looks gorgeous with these winter lights on. And it just makes the whole garden feel like a fairy tale land. And I just love it so much. And it really is a central focus. And that is why this tree needs to be pruned and kept looking wonderful, because it really does look gorgeous all year round. Look at this fantastic effect. It's amazing. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing this wonderful tree with all its lights and the winter time with all the snow. And now you understand why I go in and prune this tree once a year. And it's July now. It's a perfect time to go and prune it. It's finishing growing out its new branches and it's bushed out a little bit more, and the soft growth is hardening off, but it's still soft. So I can go in and prune where I know there is a lot of growth and I'm not going too far in on old wood where I will just end up with a bare patch on the tree. And the one over on the side by me here, I did want to keep this as a little ball. I was doing that for the first couple of years, but I left it a year and it bushed out quite a lot and started growing out at the top. And I decided I wanted to change it up and make it into a column. So now I've pruned the bottom around and up, and I haven't pruned too much in the top because of course I need it to fill out. So that's allowed to carry on growing out. But the bottom shows how thick and lush it's going to be. And that will column out till it's around about 1.5 meters tall, and I will top it and I will keep it as a column. So it's a slightly different shape from the conical shape that I have on my huge tree here. And these are also very different from all the trees that are round and about in the garden that are growing more wildly. Some are pruned on the sides and some are just left to grow into big majestic trees. And our largest trees are in Crystal Woods and the Wild Orchard Garden. And I'm going to take you in for a look at all of that right now so you can see what I'm talking about before I start working on these two bushes behind me as two examples of what I do with some of my Norway spruce trees. So let's go and have a look at these wonderful trees all around in my garden. Let's go. So let's go around and look at some of the different shapes of these trees. And here's my first one. And while we're here, we just have to take a moment to look at these beautiful lilies I have growing out here. These lilies are 1 meter tall and they are just exploding like crazy in this border here behind my Norway spruce. Aren't they magnificent? So while they're so wonderful, they had to have a little spot in this video today as well. Look at that, and the beautiful insects that love flying and buzzing around them and enjoying the nectar in these wonderful flowers. And there are so many coming up. Look at the abundance of them. And at the back behind and back at the front next to my tree and round the other side here. Look, they're even here, and insects, and even at the back here. Look at these. Wow. And they are coming up under my lovely blue spruce, which is absolutely thriving at the moment. Oh, so gorgeous. Getting very tall. I love it. And here's the next one that's been shaped with the topiary of a smaller tree on top of the other one. But let's go and have a look at some that aren't being pruned and shaped as much. Now I have one here that is, we go this way around, a little bit more yellow, and I'm hoping it's going to stay yellow like this because I actually like the tone. So we'll see if that will stay this lighter yellow tone. That could be quite cool, and get slightly pruned on the edges. Then I have some at the back here that are growing out. This one here, this tall one, I topped last year and I need to retop it, and I've pruned it a little bit in, but it's basically growing out as it wants to, more or less. And then I have a little pathway here in the back of West Side Garden where the right side is full of Norway Spruce, and they are coming on so well. I trimmed them so they're in from the path, but they're growing out of their tops wonderfully. Another one here. And as we go down through my pathway here, you'll see some more. These are taller, bigger ones. There you go, a mass of them. And these ones I topped for the first time 3 years ago, I think. And I have to go in and top them every year, because if we look at this one here, it grows itself out a new top every year. And it's growing out longer. Here you can see the branches, which I want, because then it connects to the ones I have on the side here. And they outline the little back alley here, and our little secret passage around here, out to the back end of West Side Garden and out to the road. So if we go in this little tunnel here, it is full of Norway Spruce on the right hand side, and they're coming on a treat. Look at all of these. Absolutely fantastic. Look at these long branches growing out up here to create the tunnel back into our West Side Garden. So this is an amazing effect. Feels so nice going in here. It's very cool as well on a hot sunny day like this. And you can see our cottage in the distance behind all of these trees. So right, let's have a little race on through the botanical garden in here. And we'll see some that I have around the back, in this pathway here around the back, growing along the edge of the garden and growing behind this border here. There's one here. We have a taller one here. I have one growing in the middle here. And I basically have them in all sorts of holes that I needed to fill out, because I can always shape these trees. This one a little bit more yellow, browning, but recovering. And this one too, down here and there, and here behind my rhododendron, one coming out. And then behind my rhododendrons here at the back side of our botanical garden, I have a couple more that are doing really well. So there are 3 here, and over here I have 2, and they're growing up there. Look at them, beautiful, behind the rhododendrons to keep a nice green, evergreen look all year. So now we're going to go down through Yorkham's Corner, past my hosta collection here. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Love those. And then we will go and have a look at our larger Norway Spruce we have in Crystal Woods. So now we're going through Silverway here. And I just want to show you actually here in Silverway, I forgot, I have this one that's growing out as a half tree. I topped the top off completely here. If you look here, completely gone. And this is growing out around the edges perfectly in this border here where I have my rockery and so forth. And it's very green. I had to actually prune it all the way around the edge because it's trying to spread out. But I'd like it to get some new branches coming out of the top to create a larger ball here. So I'm hoping that's going to happen with time. And we have a few small trees coming up down here that I'll keep small as evergreen little bushes. So let's carry on now through Silverway. Called Silverway because of this beautiful downy birch in the middle of the pathway. Look at this majestic tree. I love it. It's so tall, so big, so gorgeous. But this video today is about Norway Spruce. So, triangle garden, let's race through here, through Silverway, and here you're going to see the bottom of a couple. Let's have a look if we can get into a position where you'll be able to see clearly enough. Yes, here. You will be able to see now a couple of very big, tall, maturing Norway spruce. Look how tall these are. These are around 15 meters tall or something like that. So they're doing very well here in Oval Garden in the middle of Crystal Woods. So we'll carry on around the pathway here in Crystal Woods because I want to take you around to the ones that I actually think are the largest, and they are in our area of the garden called the Wild Orchard Garden. But first we need to get through Crystal Woods here. Now I'm just walking through the Japanese stone garden here. Oh, I do love it here too. Anyway, let's carry on through Crystal Woods. Carry on, carry on, carry on till we get to the largest of my Norway spruce. We carry on around the pathway. Hope you're not getting dizzy with me walking around like this. I have this one here that I think is quite cute, like a little bonsai in the middle of everything here in Crystal Woods, and another one growing up here. The ones I want to show you are the bigger ones, and we're nearly there now. So see on the edge of my property I have Norway spruce growing there, and now we are under, if you look here, this is the Wild Orchard Garden, but we are under now the largest of our Norway spruce. These ones are going on 20 meters tall. Look at these, absolutely gorgeous. And let's have a closer look at their trunks, because the trunks are also very nice, I think. Look at this. Right from the base, all the way up into the canopy. And as I was telling you before, in under where there's no light, there are no needles. And so if you should go and make a hedge and prune in this far, you will kill those branches. There will be no more needles coming out and no more branches. So, for example, this tree is a mature tree and can never be pruned in because otherwise everything would just die. The branches are way too far out now, look here. So they will only ever be able to be pruned at the very ends where you can see all of these leaves here are coming out. So let's go on a little bit so we can look back at these trees. Through the Wild Orchard Garden here, you can see our cottage and our annex in the distance. Step up onto this stone, and behind me, I hope the sun will allow, probably not. No, I'll have to find a different position here. Try here. Okay, have a look up here. You can see these Norway spruce. How tall? I'm having to crouch right down to reach the top. There, just amazing. So that is how they can get, if left to be, and much, much bigger than that, believe me. So, through the wild orchard garden here, and while we're at it, have a look at this beautiful bush here with all these orange berries coming out. Isn't that wonderful? That's Sambucus racemosa, the elderberry, but this is the poisonous type, so you can't eat these berries, but they're absolutely wonderful to look at. But just behind me, in the next pathway of the wild orchard garden that I need to get in and trim, I can show you an example of elderberry that gets the blackberries, and you can make elderberry juice from, and all sorts of other things. So I have both types in the wild orchard garden, and they have come here by themselves. They've not been planted, so that's fantastic. We carry on through wild orchard garden, and back towards bonfire garden here. We had barbecue, so the barbecue's out, and then you can see back where my two trees that I was working on today here, and that's how wonderful they are in the middle of my botanical garden. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing my garden and all of these lovely Norway spruce trees, and I'm going to get on with pruning this tree behind me, which should be quite easy, but I'm going to go quite hard on this one because I really want to get this column kind of shape going. Let's get on with this. This is just so enormously satisfying. So I just need to stand back a moment to see how it's looking. So you can see that I have these little branches here on the side that I just need to trim a little bit. But I need to make sure that I don't start trimming inwards, because then I'll start making a conical shape. But I do want this to become a thick mass, and I want it to have the same thickness all the way up. And I will be topping it probably when it finishes growing next year. So it will get to around about 1.5 meters tall, and then I'm going to top it off. But these are all the new growth that are going to have to match this at the bottom, so I really need to be careful I don't go in and touch these too much, because I need them to extend out so they start branching off, so I'll have something to prune back later. So a little bit more here, and that's it. So a quick little whiz around here to get this all done. So now I've noticed that I've clipped up a little bit higher down this side of my bush than this side, and I would like that to look a little bit more level, so I'm going to prune back a little bit more, and that will also help the plants that are growing under here. I'd like that to be able to crawl all the way around the bottom of this bush. But it's actually a couple of thicker branches that I need to prune off, so I need to get my secateurs. So there we go, that's these branches off. So now all I need to do is prune that last little bit down there, and it should look level. Let's have a little look. Just a few little finishing touches. So there we go, that is my little take on topiary. And it is just basically to keep these plants within my borders in my space. Otherwise they would really just be like me right now and be flapping their branches out for miles. They go on forever. This was my taller tree, and look at the branch. That is amazing. That is the growth from this year. That's around 30 centimeters long, right? And it would carry on growing out. Long, lovely long branches, beautiful needles, and soft because they're still new. And then this looks like it's a completely different bush because all of the needles are much tighter together. They've become a little bit smaller, and it's become a lot more matted. And that's because I've been pruning this tightly every single year. Exactly the same tree, and this is how you can change and conform the needles, the branches, the thickness and everything on your trees, and that is why they are so wonderful as well, not to mention being beautiful as the big majestic trees that they become. So that little bush, even though it looks like it's not conforming up here at the moment and it's quite sparse, this is all the new growth from only the last 2 years. when I stopped creating my ball and allowed it to grow out. So basically these trees will always go back to trying to being a tree if left. All of this would just become a big tree again if I left it. And this is the proof of that. It's gone back to long, thinner branches with longer needles coming out. So I need to let this carry on, otherwise I won't get the thickness to be able to carry on my column right up there. So that I just have to accept and enjoy as it is. And down here you can see how the future of the whole column is going to be a tight and compact network of needles that look absolutely fantastic. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing this video all about the beautiful Norway spruce, a fabulous tree that can be found all over Sweden, evergreen, beautiful, smells lovely, edible and usable for all sorts of furniture and home designs. An absolutely amazing tree. Not to mention for all the biodiversity that can hide in all of these needles like this. I can see spiders and flies and beetles and all sorts all over these trees, and that just makes me happy that there is space for everything. And my happiness and the fact that I just had fun in my garden doing this, that's all there is to it really. But they're so easy, and this just shows you that you can do what you want with these trees. If you do have these trees in your garden, you're somewhere where you're not used to this kind of tree, or it's a special kind of tree, then this has just shown you it's an easy tree to tame. Don't be afraid to go in and prune back your plant during the summer. Don't do it when it's frost, where you could get frost damage in the end of the branches, but you can do it in the early spring if you want to, during the summer and into the autumn. These trees are amazing. So that is me finished with this video, and all I have to say now is thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Goodbye.